everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Relegation Rescue at Portimonense with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So things have been going pretty well to start off our challenge. We're now into the sort of mid to latter part of January. Played about 3 or 4 games and they've gone okay so far. A few mishaps along the way, but overall we've been playing some average to slightly less than average sides in terms of where they sit in the division. Today we get our first top 6 side in Boavista. Can we continue to pick up points and help us try and rescue this club from relegation? Let's see. Hi everyone and welcome back to Portimonense. Great to have you with me. So things are going pretty well so far. Played about 4 games so far, 4 or 5 games since we've started here. And you can see that we are still sitting in the relegation zone, 17th position out of the 18 in the league. We've moved up a spot, which is good. Very briefly at one point a week ago, we were outside of the relegation, but things have changed. Other teams have played games and that's put us back in again. But we are gradually moving in the right direction, I would suggest. We've been pretty good in the games that we've played so far. We did have one loss that I'll tell you about in a minute that was quite unlucky. But other than that, things have been going pretty well. And today we get Boavista, one of the top 6 of the current league table. So it's a bit of a sort of jump up in quality that we play. Can we cope with that style of team? We'll have to find out. And we've got bigger games to come against the sort of top 3, haven't we, after that point? So yes, there's big things to come in terms of challenging opposition, but we've got to play them all at some point. So it might as well be now, mightn't it? In terms of what's happened since we've taken over, you can see that we've had 3 wins, one of them a friendly match against very weak opposition, but 2 wins in the league and 1 loss. And the 1 loss I want to tell you just a small thing about, because it shows how unlucky we've been, and that is that we caused our own downfall because our opponents on that particular occasion got a 95th minute penalty to go 2-1. And up until that point, we were getting a decent draw away from home. And it was, you know, looking pretty good, really. Sandwiched either side 2 decent wins. Denner has been the star of the show so far, with a couple of goals from that attacking midfield line. So really impressed with him. That's where he plays more often than not. But he's doing absolutely great for me. So that's really cool. In terms of the other 2 games that we played, they were decent. We've changed the tactic a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Just trying to find where the sweet spot of a few instructions lie. So we're gradually getting the hang of that one. But today is against Boavista, and if we go and look at their tactic, you'll see that they play 3 at the back, 4 in the box midfield. So it's going to be a different type of challenge to see if we can work our way through them. But actually, I quite like the thought of my asymmetric formation and where the positions sit in and around this group of players. So I think we've got a reasonable chance of doing something. It's just about the quality of player then, isn't it? And who shows up on the day. So all of that suggests that I'm reasonably happy with where things are. And I very much am. So in terms of continued transfer dealings in this January window, we've still got a week or so left of it. I don't know if there's going to be any more, to be honest, but we have done a couple of other things since you and I were together last. The first thing is to say that this guy, Lirio, has left the club. Again, I just didn't know how to use him particularly in what I wanted to do. He was a decent enough sort of a target man type option, playing in the striking position, but his main description is as a winger, and we don't play the attacking midfielder on the right. We play a central sort of line midfielder on the right hand side. So it didn't quite fit in with what I wanted, so we let him go from the club. Not a lot of money was it really, but that's okay. And we've bought in a couple of other players since you and I were together last. So the 2 that we previously bought in were Vitinho and Rashid, and we've now brought in Marquez and Job. So Marquez is on loan from Zebra, which is Juventus in the game, and he is a good 20-year-old young striking option. Again, it's what we talked about in the very first episode. This team lacked strikers of any quality, and now I think I've got 3 that I can rotate and see who finds the best form, that have at least got something about them that could potentially get us some goals this season. And Marquez comes in to rotate in that position with the others and see if he can find some form, and I think he's a decent addition to our forward line. So that's Marquez into the club, and the other one was the first purchase that we've made. The others have all been loan signings, but we purchased Job. He's an experienced winger, and we're going to be playing him in rotation on this right-hand side a little bit. Primarily, he's a right-footed winger, and he can cover both sides, which is what I also wanted, but primarily to play down the right-hand side. We've got a couple of reasonably good options on that left attacking side, but on the sort of more central midfield right-hand side, we had a little bit of a lack of quality. So this guy's come in to help fulfill that role and cover some others if we need him to. And he is our first purchase of this particular series. So there you go, bit of history in that. So that's Job and Marquez into the club and Lirio out of the club. So the main change in terms of tactical approach is in our style of play, our tactical style. We started off with the the controlled possession. And what I felt for the first couple of games is it just lacked a little bit of impetus moving us forward a little bit. It kind of kept the ball for keeping the ball's sake. And I wanted to be a little bit more intentional, if I can, to be on the front foot a little bit more. So we've gone into the vertical tiki-taka, which is my preferred play anyway in terms of this formation style and how this works through the setup, getting our chances, and the setup remains basically the same. Other than that, we've gone into a positive mentality rather than a balanced, again, to see if we can just get on the front foot a little bit. We've got half a season, we might as well give it a go, is my thought, rather than just being a bit passive. The other things to tell you about is that we've got a couple of issues with injury. Boamorte's come out of the side on this right-hand side, picked up a knock. He's still got 7 days out. He's been out for a week already. Obviously, Fernandez is the long-term injury. Vitinho is still away with the Brazil under-23s, one of our signings. Really desperate to get him back in so he can rotate in that striking option, because I think he's got some decent attributes for what I want him to do. And so, yeah, some of them are out of the side. We've got our normal 9 people on the bench, which is a huge bench in Portugal to be able to make 5 changes from in each match, which is good. And the likes of Beto and Valente have dropped out of the side from recently being in it. And we've made a couple of changes, and the changes are: 1, Marquez comes in up top, one of our new additions to the squad, and we've got Job, who comes into the right hand side for us, and this is an interesting guy, Messias. He originally, when I first came into the club, I was using him as cover for the striking role, just because I didn't have many other decent ones to do it with, to be honest. But I always intended to put him out on this left-hand side as either an inside forward or an inverted winger, and he plays the inverted winger better. Now, the thing I wanted to point out about this guy is that he's got 3 positions that he can play that are not quite at his ultra-natural position. They are accomplished. And then he's got 2 natural positions as the attacking midfielder and the striker. But in terms of his star rating, the best position he can play in terms of his attributes is actually one of his more accomplished rather than natural positions. And that's in the inverted winger on that left-hand side. And once I spotted that, that's where I wanted him to play. So it's worth checking out some of your players and making sure that you're playing them in their best suited position in terms of what their attributes offer sometimes, compared to what the sort of level of green is on their accomplished and natural positions, etc. Just a little aside, but I thought it was interesting that his natural position is not necessarily his best one. So we're going to play him on the left-hand side as an inverted winger within our asymmetric formation and see how he gets on. But yeah, everybody else is fit enough, other than the ones we've spoken about, to at least be on the bench. We brought some guys onto the starting lineup from the new additions, and they're mostly healthy as well, which is really fantastic. So today, for the game against Boavista, we've got Ferreira in goal with Mufi at right back, Anzi at left back, Maurizio and William Rocha in central defence, Sar, Rashid and Denner in central midfield, with Job on the right, Messias on the left and Marquez up top, and loads of people on the bench. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So considering this is one of our more recognisable opponents in the division in Boavista, I thought it was best if we just calm things down a little bit. So I had my hands in my pockets and I basically said to them, it's over to you now. Go and have a good game and see how we get on, really. No pressure, but just enough to say, I think you can do this. I think you're capable of playing well. We've now got to go and show it. So we go into the match preview and we go and check out the two lineups. We're in our asymmetric formation, of course, and we'll see what Boavista come in at. It's likely to be that 3 with the 4 box in that box midfield, which is going to be interesting to see how those two formations work against each other. And there's the league table showing that they sit in 6th and we're down in 17th. So we're up against it. We are at home, which is really good for us. Let's hope that we can take advantage of that home nature and get the crowd behind us a little bit and go and see if we can cause a little bit of an upset and see if we can actually compete at the level that Boavista are at. And we'll just see what the highlights bring. So we're 15 minutes in and not a lot has happened so far. No shots for anybody on either side. It's going to be one of those first halves, it means. I would suggest in a second we'll be doing the halftime team talk, if you bear with me. We've got a couple of 7-point-something ratings in our side, so that's not too bad at the back in defensive terms. And there's the first attempt for us, and it was a decent cross in, wasn't it? And I think it was Marquez that got the header, but it just went slightly over the top of the bar, and at least we've registered an opportunity in the first half, which, you know, for a long while it looked as though we wouldn't maybe even do that, didn't it? 94% passes completed, which is really positive in the vertical tiki-taka short style of passing. You'd kind of hope that it would be around there a little bit. 61% of the possession of the football in that first half. But look at these XG ratings. For the first half, we got an XG of 0.03. That's really, really bad, isn't it? For a whole first half. And they had 4 shots at goal and none on target themselves. So it's not been a great game so far, has it? So into the dressing room we go. What I would say is that there's enough that's shown in the statistics for the match that we're in it. We're controlling the style of possession. We now need to go and open up a little bit to see if we can actually find a way to get a few attempts at their goal. So let's see what we can do. Let's point the finger and we'll say, which one are we going to go for? We're going to go for... We can get out the relegation zone here with a win. So let's go and give these fans something to cheer about. That's a decent one to go for, I would say. It's brought a few nerves a little bit. A couple of people are motivated. But that's what we're going to go for. And as soon as we go in, we're going to shout and demand more to the entire team. Just to boost them up a little bit. And have we managed it? In the first few seconds of the second half, I wasn't quite clued in as to where we were at because I was just giving the shout. But if there's no offside decision here, it looks like we've got ourselves a goal from William Rocha at the back. And he's come forward for the free kick. No offside. There isn't an offside. We do get a goal. We go one up. Rashid with a really lovely dinked free kick over the top. And the on-running William Rocha, and he gets a header and puts it in the back of the net. And that's a fantastic start to the second half. And it really, really makes Boavista now have to come out and try and do something, which might open up the space a little bit. 67 minutes in, we've got a highlight here for Boavista down the left-hand side. They get a chance and brilliant save by the goalkeeper, Ricardo Ferreira, wasn't it? And at 71 minutes, we're going to pause the game and we're going to bring some fresh legs on at this point and just see if we can see this this victory out as much as it's possible. Look at these ratings, though, for such a club that was struggling before we arrived. It's going pretty well so far, isn't it? Denner and Messias and Marquis all at the top of the pitch, not playing particularly well. So we're going to change those three out and bring some fresh legs on. So Beto and Valente come in. And we're going to bring in... Who are we going to bring in? We're going to bring in Silva for that attacking midfield role. He's not particularly clued up at it as much as I'd like, maybe. But I think he's got enough quality on the ball to make a difference still. So there's the three that we're going to make up front. We're going to take off Job, who's just come into the club, and make sure that we just ease him in as we go a little bit. And then we are going to take off the aggression of William Rocker. Now, it seems counterintuitive. He's got a fantastic rating. But what I don't want is last-ditch efforts in the final third, defending for us, trying to sort of overdo it in the last few minutes to sort of keep this win going. So he looks a little bit het up and a little bit unhappy by that in that sense. So we are going to take him out. And we're going to bring Posignolo in instead and just give him a few minutes at the end of the game. And that's what we're going to do. So we'll confirm those changes and we're going to go back into this particular setup. And then what can we do? I think we're going to ask the entire team to focus and just see if we can really concentrate on getting this win in the last few minutes of the game. 6 minutes to go plus a little bit of added time. You can see that we've had 5-1 in terms of shots on target, and they've had 6-1. So it's not been a brilliant game, but we come away with the points, and that is brilliant in itself. Now, I don't think I've seen a lower XG than this of 0.17 in a game for a long time, but I will happily take it if we can nick a goal here and there and get some points on the board. And we get a brilliant 1-0 lead. 1-0 win, should I say. So what can we learn by analysing the data in this particular match? Well, the first thing is that XG is absolutely shocking, isn't it, really? A 1-0 win, but neither team warranted a goal, really. But we were well above the curve by getting one ourselves, which is fantastic. So we were a bit fortunate on that, but we will happily take it. In terms of our own shots at goal, there were not many today, were there, really? And only a couple on target, one for each, really. And that mostly came from outside the box, and that's something that we've got to work on a little bit, is working that through right the way into the sort of penalty box and seeing if we can get some of our attempts more in and around that penalty spot area. So that's something to work on. But we did okay in terms of defensively. You can see all the average ratings of our defenders were pretty decent. So they were managing to block shots. How did they do that? Did they block many today? Let's go and have a look at these ones. Yep, there's one in there. There's a couple there. We were blocking shots, and that's how the defenders managed to help us to keep a clean sheet. So they performed really well, much better than our offensive players today. In terms of the average positions, you can see that, again, the heat map suggests we had a lot of possession slightly higher up the pitch, which is great. They came in with their 3 at the back and their 4 in that box midfield, and it didn't quite work for them. And I did say at the beginning, I thought that might open a few opportunities for us. It didn't open as many as I thought, but eventually we found one. And I like the position, the average ratings. I think we're pushing up enough, but we're holding shape, and it's quite a tricky sort of formation to break, should I say. And there's our star of our show, William Rocker. Even though we bought him out at the end of the game just a little bit to protect him from his own aggression a little bit, he got the goal. He performed brilliantly at the back and got a rightful man of the match performance. So let's go and check out a few things. So the off-target shots, let's go and check out the goal as well. So here is the goal, obviously, from that looping free kick from Rashid. And here are the 3 that went off target. 2 from outside the box, 1 from on top of the 6-yard line, 6-yard box. And that one we really should have been able to get home, you would have thought. But never mind on this occasion. And we also had 1 shot that was blocked. But there's too many happening from too far out. So we might have to, if we haven't already, we might have to get the work it into the box kind of instruction going. I'm not sure if we have got that or not. I'll check that in a second. But those are the shots that we missed today. It wasn't a particularly fantastic day for our shooting, was it really? In terms of passing, I'm expecting some decent stuff from our passing. Here's the completed map, which is always just a complete mind warp. What do you learn from that other than we're playing a short vertical tiki-taka and there's lots of passes? But that's good. Considering we had all of those passes, these are the intercepted ones. I'm not so bothered about us clearing our lines from here. It's these ones that I'd like a little fewer, less if possible, just in our short tiki-taka style. And then we've got some blocked ones as well. I'm not quite sure what was happening in this kind of area of the pitch to get us blocked so often, but there we go. But these are the ones that are the ones that I try and get out of our play as much as is possible. The two here, unsuccessful ones, a couple coming in from the wings, so we've got to get better at our crossing. And then these ones as well, the 4 red ones, which is our out of play. And other than clearing the ball, if you're getting into this half of the pitch here and still putting it out of play, what's that ball all about from Job when we're supposed to be playing a short style of play? Anyway, it happens occasionally, but there's not too many of them today, which is not too bad at all. So I'm pretty happy about that. So let's go and check out one other aspect of our performance today, and it's this one that I want to have a look at today. And it's the mistakes. And the reason that I want to bring this up is because there's nothing to see. Intercepted miss and leading to goals. We didn't create any issues for ourselves. And that's partly, I think, due to the vertical tiki-taka. The minute you start shortening down those passing lanes and keeping it tight and working your way through the setup of a asymmetric style, I think it works quite well. Now, there will be other days where these will have a few in them and will have messed up a little bit here and there. But I quite like the fact that we're eliminating errors as much as we can as one of the issues that was causing Portimonense to be at the bottom of the table in the first place. So those are the things that I want to point out for today in terms of the analytical data. We can now go into the team talk and outstretched arms. Well done. Your performance was amazing. Just keep boosting that morale and the motivation and the momentum as much as we can. That's really key in the first few weeks of becoming the new manager, I find. So we've managed to do that today. Everybody's really happy. We can go out of the match day experience and find out that we now sit in 15th place. Now, there is at least a couple of sides behind us that have got games in hand over us, so we're not out of the woods yet. But look at that. Sort of 4 games in to a league season that we've picked up halfway through, and we've taken them from 18th to 15th. There is a real possibility that we could actually succeed this year and keep this side out of the relegation zone at the end of the season. We've had a few extra games than normal because of where the season starts. It was a late start, wasn't it? So taking over at Christmas meant that we weren't as far into the season as we normally are in this Relegation Rescue series. And so it's made it slightly easier for us this time round, I would say. But I'm happy to take that because we've failed in all of these so far. And I want to keep one of these clubs up. And maybe it's Portimonense that we're going to be able to do that with. But only time will tell. So here we are back on the fixtures page to figure out what's coming up in the next episode. And actually, it's one of the really big boys. We get Benfica, SLB Benfica, in the next episode. So we've got a couple of games between now and then, including Braga, who currently sit, I think, on top of the table. They do. So we've got a real tricky run of games coming up. But it's one that I'm really excited to play now. I mean, look at this change in what's gone before us compared to what we've now achieved so far. Already you can see the improvement there, which is fantastic. So is there more of that to come, or are we going to hit a bit of a brick wall because of the upturn in the quality of our opposition? Braga and Benfica back to back. That's going to be no mean thing to get through, is it? But we can do this. We absolutely can. We're on good form. We've got to get the points where we can. So we'll see what happens in that Benfica match in the next episode, and I'll update you on everything else that happened between now and then, including the last couple of days of the transfer window, just in case there's one or two things we do. I don't think there will be now. I think we've kind of exhausted what I wanted to achieve. But you never quite know. I'm always on the lookout for a bargain. So we'll see what happens there. I also went in and did check in the instructions for our tactic. And we are absolutely, you would have expected us to be, and we are working it into the box. And I'm still not convinced that's quite happening just enough at the moment. And what it might help is that if we get that central attacking midfield player and put him on more of an attack duty rather than a support duty, maybe that will help us to move it through into that sort of striker area, into the box, to get a few better opportunities. Something that we'll be working on in the next couple of games anyway. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'm beginning to really get into this Portimonense side now, making it more of my own, and we're beginning to get results, which is fantastic. So long may that continue. Join me next episode for a fantastic opportunity to play one of the really big sides. Until then, though, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button for me. That helps me get seen by loads of other people, which is really important for the growth of my channel. Go and check all the links in the description below to the likes of Twitter and Discord and Patreon and merchandise store and all the good stuff. So go and check that all out and let me know what you think about some of that. And come and join us on the Discord, which will be great. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.